Welcome dear participant to our third lecture on the application of MATLAB PDEPE solver. In our first lecture, we explored using PDEPE for solving one-dimensional diffusion equations. The second lecture took us into the realm of modeling the diffusion of nutrients and growth factors in biological tissues. Today, we will delve into the application of PDEPE for contaminant transport in soil and groundwater, providing a comprehensive understanding of this critical environmental process. Let us begin our exploration in this lecture. In this lecture on contaminant transport in soil and groundwater, MATLAB Solution using PDEPE, first we will delve into the governing partial differential equation along with its initial and boundary conditions. This foundation understanding sets the stage for our exploration. Next, we will compare this specific partial differential equation with the general form typically handled by the PDEPE MATLAB solver. Understanding this comparison enhances our grasp of how PDEPE can be applied effectively. Following that, we will define the functions for the coefficient involved in partial differential equation. These functions play a crucial role in setting up the problem for PDEPE. Finally, we will apply specific spatial domain and time spans to visualize and manipulate the results. This practical application will allow us to observe how different parameters influence contaminant. Let's begin by examining the governing equation and conditions governing contaminant transport in this lecture. This is the introduction about contaminant transport in soil and groundwater. Contaminant transport in soil and groundwater refers to the movement of the pollutant through porous media such as soil and aquifers. This process is critical for understanding and managing environmental pollution, as contaminants can affect water quality, ecosystem health, and human well-being. These are the several applications of this governing equation. Very first is environmental risk assessment, assessing the spread of contaminant from industrial site, landfills, or agricultural areas to nearby water sources. Then we have the application for remedial planning, designing strategies to mitigate or clean up contaminant site to restore environmental quality. Third is public health, monitoring and preventing contamination of drinking water resources to ensure public health safety. Ecological impact, studying how contaminants affect aquatic ecosystem and biodiversity. The governing equation for the contaminant transport is typically a form of the advection-dispersion reaction equation. So here we have del C upon del T is equal to D, del square C upon del X square minus V del C upon del X plus RC, where C is the contaminant concentration and T is the time, X is the spatial coordinate, where D is the dispersion coefficient, V is the advection velocity, and R is the reaction term which can account for degradation or the chemical reactions. So to apply PDEPE in MATLAB to find out the solution of this equation, governing equation, we need to compare with the most generalized equation PDEPE. So here we have this is the governing equation, and equation number 2 we have the generalized partial differential equation for PDEPE function in the MATLAB. So when we compare the left hand side of the first equation with the left hand side of the second equation, we can easily observe that this part is equal to 1. And when we compare the right hand side, then we need to compare with this part, and we observe that the value of m is equal to 0. Okay, and D is the multiplier of curl del 2C upon del X square. Okay, so m equal to 0 means the given equation is in Cartesian form, and this part, the remaining part, will be equal to the third term of the second equation. So after comparing this equation, we have three coefficients. One is C, this is F, and this part is S. So we need to write the user-defined functions in the MATLAB corresponding to these three functions, which are coefficient of the governing equation. To solve the equation using PDEPE in MATLAB, we define the PDEPE, the initial condition, and the boundary conditions. This is the partial differential function, and which is very quite easy to define here. And corresponding to this, we have to write the MATLAB code, and this entire representing the MATLAB code, and we will use after comparing. In the previous lectures, we already defined all these equations, but there is a little difference. So here C, F, and S, these are the output argument, and X, T, U, Du, Dx, these are the input arguments, and we will save this file with the name of PDEx PDE. So this is the partial differential equation name, and the value of D we are choosing here 0.01, which is the dispersion coefficient. The value of B we are choosing here is 0.1 advection velocity, and R is equal to 0.02, which is the reaction rate constant. We can change all these values later on after writing the code. In the MATLAB, we can manipulate all these values. And as we compare the given governing equation with the most generalized equation, we can observe that the value of C is 1, and that of F we have is D product du dx, and that of S we have is minus V du dx minus R u. So we will save this function in the MATLAB. This is the first function for PDE. So then we write the function for the initial condition, and function u0 PDEx LIC. So IC is used for the initial condition, and this will be depend on only one argument x, since t is equal to 0. So u0 means ux0. So this is the initial condition, and u0 will be some function, and here the initial condition when t is 0, u0 is equal to, we are given here, exponential minus 10 of x minus 0.5 square. So this is the initial concentration profile. Okay. Then after we need to write here the boundary conditions, and you can see XL, UL, XR, UR, and T. These are the input argument, and corresponding to these all input argument, we have the output arguments PL, QL, PR, and QR, where PL will be equal to UL as we discussed in the previous two lectures, or these are corresponding similar type. Okay, and QL will be equal to 0, PR is equal to UR, and QR is also equal to 0. So these are the left boundary condition, and these are the right boundary conditions. After that, we need to use PDEPE to solve the partial differential equation. And as we know, the parametric value of M we have is 0. Since a symmetrical parameter, the given equation is in Cartesian form. That's why the value of M we have is 0. And X-line space we are choosing here 0 to 1. Which is a special grid, and the interval 0 to 1 is divided in 100 point. Similarly, we have the time and T-line space, which is from 0 to 10 and divided into 100 time grid. And here we have the solution. This is the main solver, PDEPE. Now we need to call all the functions which we write in the user-defined function, and the input arguments. So first we have the value of M, then this is the partial differential equation. This will handle the partial differential equation. This will handle the initial condition, and this will handle boundary condition. And here we have the X input and T input. So this PDE solver will solve the entire equation corresponding to the input argument and the values of the parameters, and the value will be stored here. Now we need to extract this value after solve. So here u will be equal to solution colon comma colon comma 1. So all the values corresponding to the solution will be stored in u. Now we need to visualize the result, and to visualize, we have this sequence of statement. Very first is surface X, T, U. These are the input argument, and this is used for the title. Title is concentration versus distance and time. Then we have the X label, Y label, Z label. On X label we have the distance X, Y label we have time T, and Z label we have concentration C. So these are the sequence of statement, and we need to save all these three files in the MATLAB, and then after we can easily execute, we can manipulate the given argument values and the parametric values. So let's see in the MATLAB. This is our main script file. Parametric values and a special grade, time grade has been assigned in this main script file. Before discussing all the statement in the main script file, we need to discuss here the main functions which we discussed in our presentation. This is the first function, which is the partial differential equation, and you can see here the corresponding values of the parameters. D, which is the dispersion coefficient, V is equal to 0.1 advection velocity, which we choose at this place, and R is equal to, we have 0.02. This is the reaction rate constant, and also the coefficient functions which are involving in the partial differential equation, C, F, and S are also present here. Second user defined function we have is the initial condition, and which is only of one variable. U0 is equal to exponential minus 10 x minus 0.5 raised to power 2, which can be manipulated, and we can change this function. And also you can see here are the boundary value functions, and all these files we must save in our single directory. Okay, and now come here in the main script file. We start from CLC, clear and close. CLC will clear the command window. Clear will be used for the all values which are stored in the MATLAB. Close is used if any kind of image is open. So these are just functions which we are using to clear everything. M is equal to 0, which is the symmetric parameter, and for this partial differential equation, which is in the Cartesian form, that's why we have M equal to 0. And X linspace we have is 0 to 1. T linspace 0 to 10, which is divided into 100 points. And here you can see solution and PDEPE, which is MATLAB inbuilt function, and all these sequence of statement we have already discussed in our presentation. Okay, so I would like to skip all these, but here you can see these statements which are new. Shading interrupt, color bar will be there, box on and grid on, both are open. So when we will execute this sequence of statement by pressing here, and even the file is in running position, and this will return us this graph which you can see. And if you want to rotate, you can change in any direction by click left on the mouse. Okay, now we manipulate some parametric values. Suppose here is 5, okay, 0.05, and first you need to save this file and come to the main file and the code, and you can see the change in the graph. Okay, if I want to change this value also, suppose that this value is V is equal to 1 in the place of 0.1, and this value I have is also 5, and first I need to save this file. Okay, and now come to main source file and execute this file. You can see the change in the graph. So here is the graph which you can observe the change according to the parametric values which we manipulate. Again, we are going to close this file. Now if you want to change the initial condition, suppose that here is a sine function. Here is sine function. First we need to save, then come to main source file, execute the sequence of statement, and you can see this is the corresponding graph of the sequence of statements by changing the initial condition. Okay, if you want to save this file, Control S, and this is figure 1, .jpg and enter. The file has been saved in our current directory. Okay, you can see in our current directory. Yeah, this is the file. Okay, if you make a change here for in the place of sine, we have is cosine function. Okay, first you need to save, then come to main file, execute the sequence of statement, and you can see the corresponding graph. Okay, and yes, so according to your problem, you can manipulate all the values, initial condition, and the boundary conditions, whatever you have. If you want to save this file, we can save it. This is the figure 2.jpg and enter. Will be saved in our current directory. You can see this is the second image. Okay, if you make here the change is this is 1, this is plus 10, make change 92 positive. Okay, save this file and then execute, and you can see the difference. You can see the difference. Okay, in the place of minus we have positive sign now, and here I have is cube. Save it and now execute the sequence of statement. Yes, we have this graph. You can see the change in the graph. Okay, and you need to interpret according to your experiment whether the desired value are obtained or not. In conclusion, today's lecture has provided a comprehensive overview of using the PDEPE solver in MATLAB for modeling contaminant transport in soil and groundwater. By understanding the governing PDE, comparing it with the general form, and defining essential coefficient, we have gained insight into solving complex environmental problems. Applying these concepts to specific domains and time spans has demonstrated how simulation can be manipulated to analyze various scenarios effectively. This foundation knowledge equips us to tackle real-world challenges in environmental engineering with confidence and precision. Thank you to see this lecture till the end, and please stay connected with the upcoming lectures.